Hello friends, hope you're doing okay. Today we're going to continue with linear equation. Just a recap on linear equation, and then we will continue with some examples. Remember, with any type of equation, the purpose is to find a numerical value, okay? Numerical value for the unknown parameter. Okay, so the unknown parameter could be anything, unknown parameter. And remember, we are looking for one single value for every unknown variable. Let's say 2x equals 4. So what number is multiplied by 2 that we get the 4? Most of you can do it mentally, but we want to know how we do it on paper. So let's say here 2 has been multiplied by the unknown parameter. This is the unknown parameter. So it's been multiplied, okay? We want to do the opposite. We want to do the opposite and get the x. So the purpose here first is to isolate the x. To isolate the x, we have to do the opposite operation. So here it has been multiplied. So what I'll do here, I'll just multiply it by 2. And because it's an equation, whatever I do to the right side, I should be doing the same thing to the left side. So 2x divided by 2 would be x. 4 divided by 2 would be 2. X equals 2. Okay, so as you can see, I have been isolating the x. Let me do another one for you. Let's say 7x equals 21. So here we want to isolate the x. In order to isolate the x, because it's multiplication, so I have to do the opposite. What should I do? It's multiplication. I will do the opposite, which is division. So I divide it by 7. The reason why I divided by 7, because I want to cancel the two 7s together and get the x isolated. 7x divided by 7 is x. 21 divided by 7 is 3. All right. So another scenario would be your unknown variable is added to a constant and then equals to another constant. So we have an unknown, we add 5 and we get 6. So what is the operation here? It's been added. And remember, we want to isolate the x. So if we want to isolate the x, we have to get rid of this 5. And because the operation is addition, I have to do the opposite of addition, which is subtraction. I subtract -5 from both sides, because it's an equation. Whatever I do to this side, I should be doing the same thing to the other side. So I subtract 5 from both sides. Then on this side, I would have 5 minus 5 equals 6 minus 5. 5 minus 5 is 0, so x equals 6 minus 5 is 1. Another scenario would be, let's say x negative subtracted from a number, we get equal to another constant. In here, we want to isolate the x, so we have to get rid of this -6, right? Here, the operation has been subtraction, so I add how much? 6 to both sides to get rid of the 6. 6 and -6, right? 3 plus 6. So x would be 9. These are 3 different scenarios. And then let's talk about the fourth one. The fourth one would be x divided by 3 equals to 5. In here, the unknown variable is divided by a number and then equals to another constant. Again, we want to have the x isolated. What is the operation here? Divided by 3. What's the opposite of division? It's multiplication. So what I have to do, I have to multiply both sides by 3. Excuse me. So I would have x equals to 15. Okay? You can see that it's very simple. These are just one-step linear equation. Sometimes it could be a combination of these together. Let's do a few examples. Let's start with a few simple examples. Here, let's say I want to solve example 1. Let's say 2x plus 6 equals to 12. Okay, so 2 multiplied by an unknown variable, then added to a constant equals to 12. First thing first, remember, I want to have the x isolated. If I want to isolate the x, first I have to get rid of this 6, right? And then I have to get rid of these 2. We have to do one by one. Okay, so here it's been added. What's the opposite operation? Negative, or subtraction. So 2x equals 12 minus 6 is 6. Now it's multiplied, so the opposite operation, it's division. So I divide both sides by 2, then 2x divided by 2, it's x. 6 divided by 2 would be 3, right? Let me do a few more. So negative 6 plus 2x equals 7. Here, remember, we want to have the x isolated. How can I get the x isolated? First, I have to get rid of this negative 6 from this side. When I get rid of this negative 6, then I have to get rid of these 2, then I would have x isolated. Remember, you cannot just get rid of the coefficient or the number in front of the unknown variable first, because you have to get rid of this single constant as well. I will explain it in my other videos why, but because it would be much easier. Let's say here I add plus 6 to both sides. Then it would be to get rid of the negative 6, so 2x equals 13. Then I want to isolate my x, so I divide by 2, x would be 13 over 2. That's the final answer. Let's make it a little bit more complicated. 3 plus x, 7 equals 20. Okay, so here again, I have to get rid of this 3. Step 1, get rid of 3. What should I do here? I add negative 3 to both sides. Negative 3 to this side, negative 3 to this side. Then these 2 will cancel out. It would be x7 equals to 17. Okay, so step 2, get rid of or cancel 7. So here 7 is x is divided by 7. How can I get rid of it? I have to do the opposite or the reverse operation. So I will multiply it by 7. Multiply, and remember, most of the times the students forget that when you want to do, when you have an equation, and if you want to add or multiply or divide one side, you have to do exactly the same thing to the other side, because it's a balance equation. Okay, so multiply by 7, x would be 7 times 17, which is 119. Okay, so these are some scenarios which we had a combination of these. It could be any combination of anything. Let's do a few more. So let's say 3, 4. I'm gonna make it more difficult. 3, 4 x plus 6 equals to 12. Okay, so now we want to do this. Remember, first thing first, we have to get rid of the 6. How to get rid of the 6? I add negative 6 to both sides. then I would have 3 over 4x is equal to 12 minus 6 is 6. Now, good point, like here, the x, the unknown variable, is times by 3, multiplied by 3, and then divided by 4. So two things are happening at the same time. Multiplied by 3 and then divided by 4. And remember, in order to isolate the x, I have to exactly do the opposite of these two. So when it's multiplied, I have to do what? Divide, and then here it's divided by 4, so I have to multiply it by 4. Okay, so what I'll do, first I will multiply it by 4. Okay, 3, 4x is equal to 6. Now I multiply both sides by 4, so that would be 3x equals 24. Okay, so 3x equals 24. Here, remember, it's multiplied, right? Multiplied by 3. What I should do, I should divide both sides by 3 to have the x isolated. And x would be 24 divided by 3, which is an 8. Okay, so these are some more examples. If there are any more like specific questions you want me to solve, you can just put it in the comments and I will solve them for you.